Hello everyone, I'm Will Harmon, tax attorney, CPA, and IRS enrolled agent with Harmon Tax Resolution. I'm here to discuss with you the importance of including a critical component whenever you're trying to resolve an IRS tax issue. That critical component is doing a two-part investigation. Two parts, one being the IRS's side, what they have, all their history, and the other is your side, your history up to this point, and your current financial condition. Now, before I begin discussing each of the two parts, let's take a look at what some of the large tax firms are offering, where they state, we can settle your tax debt for pennies on the dollar with the IRS. That may be true, but without having done a thorough investigation on both sides, they're most likely falling into it. And here's what I mean. Because an offer to settle your debt for pennies on the dollar is most likely an offer and compromise, which is a doubt to collectability. Now, there's three types of offer and compromises, but that's the one where you'll settle for less than you owe. Now, in order to do that, you have to establish that you're not able to pay the debt within the allowable collection period. So, how would they know that unless they've done an investigation? But most importantly, that might not be the best avenue for you. Let's say you have an unfiled tax return that the IRS went ahead and filed, which is known as a substitute for filing return, and they did so based off of 1099s that you may have received. Now, what they didn't do is take any credits or allowable deductions, and as a result, you ended up owing this large tax debt. Now, this went on for a while, and they finally have caught up to you, and are trying to collect this large debt from you. Now, a thorough research would show that they did an SFR, and that you have the ability to go back and properly do your tax return. And let's say if you were to do that with the credits and the allowable deductions, you don't owe anything. Well, guess what? You would have resolved that without paying for the cost of doing an offer and compromise, which, by the way, is one of the more expensive resolution packages offered by tax firms. So again, it's always important to do the investigation first. Let's talk about the IRS piece. Now, the IRS piece is gathered by an information pool with the IRS, where you would allow me to either via 8821, which is an information authorization, or a 2848, which is a power of attorney, where I get to represent you as well. You designate the periods and what I'm able to pull. Now, once I've been able to do that, I will look for what your collection statute is, what the assessment statutes are. I'll see if there's any room for penalty abatement. I'll see where your level of collections is at. Are you about to have something levied or garnished? Do we need immediate protection on that? Do you still have the option to go into tax court? These are all things that we need to see in order to produce a solid plan going forward. Okay, let's talk about part two, the taxpayer side. Now, for the taxpayer, we do a financial analysis, but it's about the past, the present, and the future. The past being what happened and what got you to this point. We need to be able to document that, and that's for advocation purposes. It also paints a picture of what's going on. Now, the present, we're looking at your current assets, the equity in those assets, liabilities, the payments that are being made for those liabilities, your current income and your current expenses, to show where you are financially, what type of payment could be made to the IRS. And in the future, we're looking at to see if there's anything that's coming down the road that you may need your current assets to have for that particular contingency. Now, the IRS will take that into consideration. So we put all this together and we look at the totality of the circumstances to come up with the best advocate points we possibly can. Okay, now that we've briefly gone over the two parts, there is one other item that goes hand in hand with this, and that's called the Internal Revenue Manual, the IRM. That's the IRS's playbook. It's their statement of operations that they have to adhere to. It's not actual law. However, they strive to adhere to this to their best, because if not, it would be total chaos. Now, hiring a tax resolution person, you want to get someone that knows this fairly well, can get through it, so they know what the IRS is going to do, what your options are within that. Also, they can go back and double check to make sure what has been done is done within the letter there as well. So it's very important that your rights are being properly represented. And if someone's working with you and they don't know the IRM or have the ability to really look it up, you may not be having your rights fully represented. In summary, if you're out dealing with a tax resolution firm that does not offer a thorough two-part investigation, the question that you should have is, where do I find one that does? Well, you found one here with Harmon Tax Resolution. We do a thorough investigation. In addition, I happen to be a tax attorney, a CPA, and an enrolled agent. So I'll look at your situation through 3 different lenses at the same time, which will allow me not to miss anything. So there's additional information in the blog itself. I've linked some other articles too that have much broader information as well. Feel free to give me a call, 772-418-0949, or go into the website and fill out our contact form. I'd be more than happy to provide any information I can. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope your tax situation goes well.